6.4, the triangle midsegment theorem. How are the midsegments of a triangle related to the sides of the triangle? A midsegment is a segment that connects the midpoints of two sides of a triangle. So in this case, here's a midpoint and here's a midpoint, and this is called a midsegment. Now, a triangle has three midsegments because if you join this midpoint and this midpoint, it's also a midsegment. And of course, this one is 1, 2. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some characteristics of the midsegment. And so these are the midpoints, and I've calculated the midpoint right here. And I've calculated this midpoint right here already using the midpoint formula. And now what I want to do is I want to figure out the slope of this mid-segment. And I use the slope formula and I get -1/4. Now I'm going to find the slope of this one, and I find that it's -1/4. So since they're both the same, this is telling me that this is parallel to this. Now I'm going to find the distance, and the distance is √17 using the distance formula. And then I find JL, and I find that it's √68, which is the same thing as 4 times 17, √4 times 17, which simplifies to 2 √17. So this is 2 times bigger than this. So this has a 2-to-1 ratio. So JL to MN has a 2-to-1 ratio, or you can say this is 1/2 of this. Let's do it again and with another picture, and you can see I have found the midpoint of D, and I found the midpoint of E, and they're graphed right here. And here's my midpoints. And now I'm going to find the slope of MDE. And DE slope, the slope of DE, I find is equal to 3/2. And then when I go down here and find the slope of AC, I figured it out, and it's also 3/2. So that tells me that these two are parallel to each other. Now I'm going to find the distance DE, and the distance DE ends up being √13. And then when I find the distance AC and simplify it, I find it's 2 √13. So again, this appears to be twice as big as this, and this appears to be parallel to this. Okay, I'd like you to try it. I have found point F for you. Here's the midpoint, point F, and it's 3, -3. And I'd like you to go through the process, find the slope for E, find the slope for EF, find the slope for AB, compare them, and then figure out distance EF and distance AB and see if what we've been doing is happening again. And here are the answers, and it is happening again. We're getting this parallel to this, and we're getting that this distance, √26, and this distance, 2 √26, this is twice as big. Now this gives us the idea for the triangle midsegment theorem, which says that when you have a midsegment right here, which joins the midpoints, it's going to be parallel to the third side, and it's going to be 1/2 of the third side. Now here's a coordinate proof with triangles that have no numbers in them. They just have letters. And you can see it's a triangle right here, and I have found the midpoints right here. And these midpoints, this slope is 0 right here, and this slope is 0. So it tells me that these are parallel. And then I find this distance by using the distance formula. I get P, and I figure out this distance by just counting over, and it's 2P. So this is a proof. This is not a 2-column proof. It's a coordinate proof that shows that the midsegment is parallel to the third side and 1/2 of the other third side. Okay, let's do some practice. I hope you can see that this is a midpoint. Let me do this in red. This is a midpoint, and this is a midpoint. So this is officially a midsegment. See if you can find these answers. Stop the screencast. Okay, here are the answers. And you can see the mid-segment is, this mid-segment is half of the third side, so that's why it's 10. Z is 10. And this is a midpoint, so this side and this side have the same, and this side and this side are the same. Okay, go ahead and stop the screencast, see if you can figure out all these values, and then see the answers. And here are the answers. Let's take a look at the roof trusses here. And the roof trusses are connecting midpoints. These are mid-segments. So from here to here is a mid-segment, and from here to here is a mid-segment as well. Let's see if you can figure out the answers. And here are the answers. All right, let's take a look, and this is our last one. I'd like you to stop the screencast, think about it very carefully before you look at the answer. And here's the answer. I'm using the mid-segment here. This 0.7 is half of this number. And remember, these are midpoints. So I took half of 2.25, and I know this other half is 1.3, and I added up all of the distances.